until showtime.
I think that was about a 102. Is that all we're going to get? Okay. That's all we're going to get today. Thanks, everybody.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, from the world's most famous beach, from where beach racing began, it's the Legends of Racing radio show, live from racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill in Ponce Inlet, Florida. The Legends of Racing radio show with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All righty. Thank you so much, everybody. We do appreciate that. We thank everyone for taking time out of their day to come see what we're up to, and everybody out there, too, across the world of checking us out and seeing what we're doing today. We have two members of the Daytona Beach Mustang Club here today. We got Bob Krakosky. There we go. And Jim Amos right there, everybody.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Now, Bob, you're the president, right?
Yes, I am.
Yep. And how long has the club been in existence?
The club's been in existence 22 years.
Really?
Yes.
I'll be darned.
Back then, February 2002, a couple of people got together, a couple of members got together and decided to create a club. Mm-hmm. And along with that, they went ahead and got the club started. And they decided to call it the Daytona Mustang Club.
That's a pretty appropriate name.
Yeah. Well, it's appropriate for here in Daytona, which is a big car town, as we all know, to have something like that. You know, so thank you for what you guys do. I mean, there are so many Mustang owners, so many Roush cars. I know Jeff's brother, he has one. I mean, you know, Gary over along Riverside, he has two.
Oh, yeah?
You know,
really?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and the Rock over there, he's got that beautiful Mustang sitting out front, that Roush Mustang. There was one of only 50 made, is that right? And 40 of them are here, and 10 of them went overseas. So that's a really rare piece right there, and it's beautiful, too.
I know on Barrett Jackson, you know, I watched some of the auctions. Those cars are going sky high right now, you know, for a nice Roush.
Yep.
Or a numbered pony from 65.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago, we went over to Kissimmee, and we saw the Bullet Mustang. That was quite an interesting deal. Interesting history, too, where this lady drove it to school. She was a school teacher. Drove it to school every day for years, not realizing what they had there. And I guess it's worth $1 million or more. They had it in a big glass case. You couldn't get near it. It was pretty rough, but it was the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really something. So do you have a Mustang? Do you own one?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, what year?
Mine's an '06.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Does it have any bells and whistles?
Not really. Mine is a 6-cylinder.
Oh. Conservative.
Yeah. Although it's got a lot of extras on it, and I take it to all the shows, different shows.
Right.
And I've collected quite a few awards.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Now,
Yeah.
Jim, you've got one too, don't you?
I do,
Yeah.
2007.
Is that right? And it was number 7 of, what, 460?
It's a limited production model of the Mustang in '07. When it came off the production line, they said it's a Roush performance.
Really?
Right there in the area.
I'll be darned.
And Roush upgraded the car. Put mostly cosmetic changes to it. The Roush wing in the back, special hood scoop, things like that. Plus, there were numbered cars at Roush. Ford had intended to build about 1,000 of the cars. In the end, they only built 279.
Oh, really?
So that makes it rare.
Oh, yeah, I would say.
Yeah. And I say, I guess nobody liked them back then, and they didn't sell 1,000. But
I'll be darned.
through the years, they become more and more desirable.
I would imagine.
But I have 007.
007.
Yeah, sort of like James Bond car, But it's called the Heat. You'll see that name on the back of the deck where it says Heat. You know that Mustang.
And what is that all about?
Don't know. The origins of the name, unless Jack Roush could tell us, I really don't know. I think the year before, 06, the Miami Heat were the NBA World Champions. And maybe it had something to do with that because most of the cars that were sold went to South Florida.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, and that's where mine came from, South
Sounds
Florida.
like there's a connection there.
In case the audience doesn't know, the Mustang was the genius idea of Lee Iacocca.
Oh, yeah.
He worked for Ford Motor Company back in the day, and sales, were kind of a little bit stagnant. So, Ford Jr. went to Lee and said, "Hey, we need to develop a car that could compete with was it the Camaro or was it the Corvette?" I think
he wanted a sporty car.
Yeah, one of the two. So
car.
Lee Iacocca came up with a Mustang, and it was an instant hit.
Oh boy!
So.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the car originally, I think there was like 100,000 original cars that
manufactured
were people put in orders for.
Right.
And
the original pony.
Yeah, the original car cost like $2,600
Holy
at the
cow.
time.
Like to buy about 5 of those right now, huh?
Wow, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, he was trying to reach the youth market, which was the fastest growing market in sales at that particular time.
Right.
And I believe he was shooting for a sports car to take on the dominance of the Corvette. But he wanted a 4-seat car. He had certain criteria. It had to be a 4-seater.
Right.
It had to be no longer than 180 inches overall. It had to weigh less than 2,500 pounds.
Really?
And it had to cost less than $2,500.
Oh my gosh!
And the design team was able to come up with a design that initially was called the Cougar.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll
and
be
the
darned.
clay models were made. They had a cougar cat in the center of the grill.
I'll be darned.
And that name just didn't get final approval, and eventually the Mustang name and the running horse was applied.
Yeah.
And of course, then the rest is history.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Ford has done a great job. Of course, they developed such a muscle car with the Roush insignia, part of the aspect of the Ford Mustang. But you know what? I talked to a kid last night at the car wash. I was going through the car wash, and there was a kid, and he came over and looked at my car and said, "Hey, it's a nice car, et cetera, et cetera." I said, "Well, what are you driving?" Sure enough, he had a brand new Mustang, but it had the EcoBoost, the V6 EcoBoost, and he said the car absolutely flies, which I believe it. I have the EcoBoost in my pickup truck, my F-150, and it's the fastest truck I've ever had.
Really?
I mean, it lays rubber. I mean, I can only imagine a Mustang.
Wow.
So they've built different segments of motors that they've developed for the Ford Mustang.
Yes, they have.
So it hasn't always been muscle car motors. They went the economical route with the EcoBoost, and that car, he says, is every bit as fast as the Roush.
Well, back in 1984, they put a turbocharged 2.3 4-cylinder engine in a Mustang.
Correct.
Really?
Yeah.
And they were as quick as the GT car.
Oh my gosh!
But they cost more at that particular time, so they didn't sell that many of them. But they made them in 84 and 85 and 86 for 3 seasons. And that's the same kind of engine that we see in the new EcoBoost.
Oh, is that right?
Mustangs.
Yep.
That's right.
We had a 74 fastback with a V8. Man, that thing was quick because it was so light.
Yeah,
And
Mustang 2.
Yeah, it was Mustang 2. That's right.
Yeah.
That was a good-looking car too. My father-in-law owned it. He was 83 years old, and they had to take it away from him. So we bought it from him.
Did you?
And what a great car that was.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, there's excuse me. There's been 7 generations of cars.
Yeah.
over the course of the years.
Really?
Yeah.
7 generations.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
The first.
Currently, there's 7 generations.
Mm-hmm.
The first generation was between 1964 and 1973.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second generation came in 74 to 78. And then there was 79 to 83 and 84 to 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2005 to 14.
I'll be darned.
And then 15 to 23 and the current.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned. So they're always changing to accommodate the public, more or less, aren't they?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I do like the lines of the new one. I do. I like the streamline that they did. For aerodynamically, they've tried to improve the car. For speed, people can't go as fast as they want to go in these cars, but Ford has been very competitive with the lines. And, of course, NASCAR, being the fact that Ford races the Mustang, that's an important aspect. That sells a lot of cars, too. But it's really interesting what you guys do, especially here in Daytona. And you have 82 current members, is that correct?
Yes.
Really?
That's
82
great,
members.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
super.
I remember when they came out with the interior, the Recaro seats. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool aspect. That was about Generation 5, maybe, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year did they start the V8? Did they start originally as an option?
The V8 started.
Well, it was in the first generation.
Oh, was it?
It was
Yeah.
in the first year. They had the
68,
small
60.
V8.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
68, I believe.
You think?
I
Uh-huh.
think so, yeah, because it was 6-cylinder. The Pony was really 6-cylinder from the get-go.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
They actually, when the Mustang debuted, it debuted on April the 17th of 1964. And the reason, that was halfway through the 1964 production year.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of those early Mustangs, the early production, are referred to as 64 and a half cars.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but in reality, their serial number on them, they didn't call it a VIN back then. It was a serial number. All identified them with a 5, which meant they were 65 cars.
Oh, no kidding.
So the first introduction of the Mustang lasted for a year and a half
Right.
until we had the 66 model. They were all 65s for a year and a half.
Isn't that something? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Let's see, it takes a real Mustang guy to know this stuff.
And that was introduced at the World's Fair.
Oh, was it really?
Yes, at
The
the
New York World's Fair.
65
Yeah.
World's Fair in
I'll
New
be
York.
darned. I bet it was an instant hit, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Millions of people saw that. They ran the World's Fair in 64 and
Right.
65 in New York City.
Yeah.
And Ford had a pavilion, and they had a futuristic ride inside. It sort of reminded you of Disney World.
Oh, okay.
When you get in, it's a small world, how you get in a little car. And
Yeah.
Well, Ford had the same thing, and they used actual cars, convertibles, some of which were Mustangs.
Oh, no kidding.
And people rode through this Adventureland.
I'll be darned.
And Walt Disney actually helped Ford set up that display
Did
at
he
the
really?
World's Fair. And some people think he was testing the East Coast market because, they had Disneyland in California,
Yeah.
and would they have an interest in it here on the East Coast? And it was a big, big success at the
Boy, that's
World's
something.
Fair. And the Mustang.
Isn't that great? Great minds think alike, I guess. Huh?
Yes.
That's really something. Yeah. So, do you have a lot of muscle cars in your club?
Yes, we do. We do. We have a lot of cars that have the conversion in it where they can use it regular or they can change it over to racing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
There's a few of them in our club. The 302s,
Coyote motor.
yeah, the
Oh, Coyote. Right, is that a Foyt? Was Foyt involved in that at all? Because he did Coyotes, and I don't know if it was if he had anything to do with Ford or not. But it was
Probably
always the
did
Foyt
if it was
Coyote.
Coyote.
Makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder, sure.
Yeah, the Coyote's running after the Mustang.
Yeah, right.
You know, Ford Motor Company Jack Roush kind of you talk about being at the right place at the right time. He was pretty much a car guy, and he impressed Henry Ford. For whatever reason. Here's a guy from Jackson, Ohio, that lived in Covington, Kentucky, right along the bridge, and Ford really liked him. And he said, "Well, I guess Ford asked him. He said, I want you to develop a Roush model." And Jack said, "After me? Are you kidding?" So, Jack was off to the races.
Yeah.
And Jack Roush is now a multi-millionaire simply because Ford Motor Company loved him.
Yep.
And, he got involved in NASCAR. That's pretty much how he got his start.
Yep.
Henry Ford helping him out. So good for him.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. I've had dialogue with Jack Roush throughout the years for me being involved in NASCAR. And he is a fine, fine gentleman. I mean, the plane crash pretty much took a lot of wind out of his sails.
Yeah.
But such a nice gentleman.
Yeah, he was
Enjoy
great.
to be around. You've had some dialogue with him, haven't you?
Yeah, when we did the Great Race back in '04, he would start right in front of us. We had sent the 35 Ford up there to his place to get it rebuilt, and they put a new motor in it and changed it over to a 12-volt system and all that sort of thing. Regular brakes, no more pump the brakes.
Yeah.
And just really did it. The Speedway took care of the whole thing, and Jack, boy, he hovered over us like a mother hen.
Yeah.
Make sure we were doing it right, and he would check us out every day, every morning. He had his own crew of guys that would come and fix the car and wipe it down and prep it and everything. So we felt like we were pretty high stuff there,
Yeah.
And
That was cool. Yeah, it was cool. You telling us about that great race that you did.
Yeah, the Great Race.
Yeah.
It was really something. But Jack was great. I mean, just a tremendous guy.
Yeah. Class act, no doubt.
What I think about with Jack Roush is the fact that he was a drag racer.
Oh, yeah.
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 His early days, he competed in drag racing even before NASCAR racing. He actually worked for Ford Motor Company,
Right.
And helped build some of the early drag race cars.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a break in a minute for a minute, and we'll be right back with Bob and Jim.
Hey, gentlemen.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. At Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees, it's all about making you happy. Beach Boys Embroidery can customize your athletic golf apparel, caps, hats, badges, buttons, magnets, backpacks, bags, totes, clocks, watches, and of course, T-shirts. Sure, they're at 2033 South Ridgewood Avenue in South Daytona, and they're waiting for you to call now. 386-255-5880. Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees. Let Aloha Marine get you on the water with huge discounts on great brands like Bayliner, Carolina Skiff, Hurricane, Key West, and Regal. Pay as little as $169 a month with 10% down and approved credit. Don't wait. Get to Aloha Marine, 1700 North Nova Road, Holly Hill, Monday through Saturday. 47 years and always better than boat show prices. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
Oh, thank you very much, everybody. We do appreciate that. I
think everybody's still cold, Buzz.
Huh?
I think everybody's just cold.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, and I just got to send my regards to my dear beloved who's home with the crud. Yeah, you know that crud that's going around? She's had it for about a week or so.
Yeah.
But she hasn't gotten too grumpy, which is good.
Yes.
Yeah, but she gets a lot of sympathy from me.
Does she?
Yeah, oh yeah, a lot of sympathy for sure. Yeah, this segment's being brought to you locally by Staples on International Speedway Boulevard. Anything for the office they can do for you. And also, if you want to go check us out online, you can go to the Legends of Racing radio page on YouTube, and we stream it live there, and then you can go an hour later and check it out on Facebook. So two different ways you can check out the the show.
Yeah.
When you get home, you can take a look at what you just did. How about that?
Speaking of the show, I mean, how great was last week, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, it was
Wow.
just a phenomenal,
It worked out really, really
phenomenal
well.
show. I mean, to have 3 guests like that, like Buzz and I talked, this is our Super Bowl, and it definitely was.
right.
Yep.
It was such a good combination of personalities, and they worked so well together, and we kind of orchestrated it all along.
Yeah,
you know?
really. And they all were Ford drivers
Yeah.
at one time or another, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they all liked each other. They had mutual respect.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think Jeff kind of was the start of Donnie's exit, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He was exiting the sport as
Yeah.
Jeff was coming in,
That's right.
and then Ernie came in after that. But, just to have those 3 personalities here, it was great.
It's pretty amazing.
Probably our
Well, if
show.
you think that's a lot of pressure, how would you like to follow that act? And that's where we are.
Yeah.
You guys are
It
doing
was a
fine.
tremendous show.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh,
no
that's
doubt.
great.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, but the Ford Mustang Club, I mean, here in Daytona, I know we're a little light on attendance maybe because of cold weather, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it's big. We want you guys back. And, we want to hear how you guys grow. I mean, I didn't even know they had a club. But, I'm going to spread the word to people I know that have the Mustangs, and
Great.
let's get
Great.
it done.
Talk about strange things. Talking about Jack doing the drag racing.
Yeah.
In 1979, we were in Douglas, Georgia, and a friend of ours was playing at the Holiday Inn up there, so we went up to see him. And they had a big festival in town that weekend, and there was a big poster on the wall, and it was a picture of Jack's Pinto. It had Jack Roush on the rear quarter, and it was a special drag race between Loretta Lynn and Richard Petty.
Wow.
And I never found out who won, but I thought that was weird. But Loretta Lynn was going to be driving the Jack Roush car.
Yeah.
How about that? Wow.
You know what was good about that race?
What's that?
Neither one of those Pintos caught on fire.
Yeah.
Because they were a fire trap, apparently, from what I understand. But I always liked it. Kind of like the AMC Gremlin.
Yeah. Oh, they were cool. They made a great modified.
Yeah, I know guys that did drag race them.
Oh, yeah.
They were
Pintos.
very popular drag
Yeah,
race vehicles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Another brainstorm of Lee Iacocca.
There you go.
Yeah.
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 It's amazing. Yes,
Jack
sir.
Roush is really a nice guy.
He is.
We used to see him before every race when he'd come down here for the races, and he would sign anything you wanted.
Yeah.
He would sign your car. He would sign any kind of memorabilia that you had, and he was such a great guy to talk to.
Yeah.
And he loved to talk about his airplane, his P-51.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
The Mustang.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mustang.
Which was almost the death of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty close.
Twice.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's outlived a couple of cats.
Yeah. Who survives that?
There's been a story that the Mustang name actually came from the P-51 Mustang airplane.
Really?
One of the designers on the team was a P-51 Mustang enthusiast.
Is that right?
Back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And they say that it was his encouragement that came up with the name.
Well, he sure had a gold-plated idea there. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Like
why
I
they
said-
got rid of the Cougar. Let's put that
Oh,
Mustang
yeah,
up
yeah.
there.
Like I said, he just was at the right place at the right time. I would really like to know the actual history, the specifics between Ford and him. I mean, instead of the paragraph phase of it, I'd like to know the dialogue that transpired between Ford and him to get where he really got.
Yeah.
But when I first went into NASCAR racing in 2002 in the truck series, he was around the truck race. We were at Bristol, and he came up to me and he introduced himself. Well, hell, he didn't need an introduction because I knew who
How
he
about
was.
that?
But
You knew
he
him,
said, "I
yeah.
want to welcome you to NASCAR, and I hope you have many more endeavors." Well, $2.5 million later, and
Yeah.
I was still hanging in there, but I'm out of it now. But looks like I'm going to go back part-time next year.
Are you really?
really?
Who
The
you
word
going with?
that the word is, I can't really say yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that for the 26th season?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, partial
good.
season, 10 races, starting
All
at
right.
Daytona.
That's cool. Yeah.
You know, there's another big name in automobiles associated with the Mustang, and that was Carroll Shelby.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We can't forget and Lee Iacocca actually played a part in bringing the Shelby
Really?
in.
Per the movie. I watched the movie, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, great movie. But he also, another little known fact was produced a couple drag race GT350
Did he
Mustangs.
really?
There were only 8 made total
Huh.
between 65 and 66.
Uh-huh.
But early in 65, the Mustang's a brand new entity.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby gets involved with the GT350, and a drag car comes out of that also.
I'll be darned.
That's pretty
Well, he
cool.
had his fingers in everything, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So between Roush and Shelby,
yeah.
we have a big influence on performance of the Mustang.
Oh,
High
yes.
performance.
Yep. Yeah, my the good buddy of mine had a 69 Shelby 350, and I can't even imagine what it's worth today.
Oh,
I imagine it's worth
a lot of money.
quite a few dollars, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you worked in Ford dealerships over the years, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, up in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
Small town, Wilkes-Barre.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I know where we're.
Yep.
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area.
Uh-huh.
And I worked in the Allentown area, the
Oh,
Ford
did you?
dealer in the Allentown area.
Right.
And,
And you're with the state
I was
police?
involved with the parts department for a while.
Okay.
And a service writer. Some of you know a service writer at the service department of Ford.
Yeah, my dad was a service writer.
Was he really?
Yeah, for just about every dealership in town.
Wow. A lot of memorization. You had to memorize the part numbers. It was long before the computers. The computer was in our head back then.
Yeah, for sure.
And I enjoyed being involved in the high performance parts because Ford in the early 1960s was coming out with high performance parts all over the place.
Right.
And eventually those parts made their way into the Mustang line. And it was a good job. I really enjoyed it.
I guess. Then you were with the state police for a
I
while
did.
too, right?
I did 31 years and a half
Really?
with the Pennsylvania State Police.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I had no speed limit back then.
Oh, there you go.
People used to say when you drive a police car like that, that you're speeding. You're going buzz by me going so fast you're speeding. I would say, no. I never speed as a law enforcement officer. I practice pursuit driving is what I did.
Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I was speeding.
How about your background, Bob? Were you involved with Ford from way back?
No, not really. Not really, but I've always been involved with cars. I've run cars. Mostly, I was with back in, I guess, the 60s, that time frame. I was with mostly the English type cars.
Oh, really?
The Triumphs and the...
Bug-eyed Sprites and all that sort of thing.
And the Austin Healey's, and we used to do the circuits in the upper north, in New York and New Jersey and Maryland area.
Triumph Spitfire.
Yeah. Boy, those were fun cars, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those little things, the Triumphs. And
easy to work on, too.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, I bet that was great.
So that's kind of like my background, was mostly with that. And then I've always gone to all kinds of car shows and everything, and always wanted to have some kind of a nice car to take to car shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I came across the Mustang and joined the Mustang, and I bought it, and I still have it, and I take it to all kinds of shows.
Yeah. What year is it?
It's an 06.
An 06, that's right. Yeah, I think you'd mentioned
it's
that.
It's an 06. It's a 4-liter, and I run it in the modified class.
Really?
Yeah, I take it to the modified when I run in the car shows. I enter it as a modified class. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. But you have a ball with it too, don't you?
Yeah.
That's what's cool about car shows. If you're a lonely individual and you want to meet people, car shows is the way to go.
Oh, buddy.
You guys should get all your members and invade a car show. I don't know if you ever do that or not, but get them all together and go to a car show. That'd be cool.
We do that.
Do you do that?
We go to car shows. Our club, basically our activities, the type of activities we do, we kind of do some cruising to different places.
Yeah.
To have something to eat, we go to museums. We do what they call a poker run, which is basically a scavenger hunt type thing. And at the end, we use poker cards. Whoever has the best hand wins the trophies.
See, that's cool.
So that's kind of cool. And then, we do a lot of other things too. We do like I said, we do a couple of museums in different places, and we also do some, like the Motorsport Hall of Fame. We do that every year.
Do you? Okay.
And that's kind of cool. And we've got contacts here and there throughout the state. And we also do some stuff with some of the other Mustang clubs.
Do you?
Yeah,
That's
like,
cool.
like Mid-Florida.
Really? Mid-Florida's got one?
Yeah.
Orlando area?
Yeah.
More or less? Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
There's a big show coming up, isn't there, Bob?
Yeah. There's a Mustang Club of America is running a national show in Orlando.
Oh boy, no
and,
kidding.
And it's at the they call it Deezerland.
Oh
Really?
yeah, okay. I hear that's a fantastic place.
That will be in April. So if anybody's wants to see some Mustangs, it's going to be there. I understand right now there's at least 400
Holy
registered
cow.
cars from 29 different states,
Jeez,
including Canada.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Jim and Bob.
All right. Starting to wake up.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A in Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Thanks to you, the original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill has been voted top 10 beach bar in Florida year after year after year. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All right.
Hey, thank you very much, everybody. We do appreciate it. See, they're still alive.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah, we're all right.
Yeah, the cold weather hasn't affected them that much.
Yeah.
No. This segment's being brought to you locally by Daytona Flea and Farmers Market, voted one of the top 5 markets in the country by USA Weekend. Visit our Shop Now network and our Shop Now at Daytona Flea and Farmers Market Facebook page for the latest in vendor tours. And we've got Tony every show.
Tony, we missed you last
right
week,
about
man.
this time. We got a question from Tony.
Wood Brothers, number 21.
Yeah.
I'm a Ford guy.
Yeah.
Had a couple Mustangs. The first turbo Mustang was in '79.
Wow.
It
That's
was
right.
carbureted. Left a fair amount to be desired. But it didn't break me of my Ford habit. Between Carol Shelby and Jack Roush was Steve Saline.
Oh, there
Correct,
you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. But anyway, my question, 2-3 years ago, Ford stirred up a lot with calling their electric car the Mustang Mach-E. There was a lot of hate and miscontent over that. Is that getting over? I mean, do people show up at Mustang shows with a Mach-E?
Well, I'll tell you, I see a couple here and there, but not too many. But from what I understand, if you Jim could tell you that they've been running the electric cars on the direction.
Yeah, they recently have run exhibition races with an all-electric Mustang, and it's gone down to quarter mile, 1,320 feet, in 7.6 seconds.
Really?
At 184 miles an hour.
Holy cow.
Yep, that's quick.
That is
Electric car.
quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not a light car either. It's like a 4,000-pound car with a battery.
It's a pretty wild car. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. It just doesn't really resemble that much of a Mustang, does it?
No, it kind of hurt us a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
It's strange when you see a four-door Mustang.
Yeah.
You know,
When,
they just
when
started
they came
with
out
that.
with that.
Looks like June Cleaver's car.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the future, I think, always looks different, doesn't it?
Yes.
You know, it's the vision of the future that we find it with the new cars, no doubt.
I know that Chevrolet is coming back with the Bel Air, I think in 25, and
Really?
you know, Ford is contemplating coming back with a Fairlane, which our good friend Bill has, a beautiful yellow Fairlane, Ford Fairlane, who had it at the car show a few weeks ago at New Smyrna Speedway. Nice piece, Bill.
Yeah, 67.
But it's
beautiful
funny
car.
how they kind of come back,
Yeah.
you know.
What year is the Fairlane?
It's 67?
68
Yeah.
Fairlane. Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice.
Very nice car. And it's as big as most Cadillacs now.
Yeah, you're right. I thought that was a little car at the time.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
They made a beautiful race car, too. Mario Andretti won the Daytona 500 with one of those Fairlanes.
Fairlanes,
They
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
67.
67.
That's right.
So it'd be cool if Ford comes back with a Fairlane, just
wouldn't it be great?
like Chevy's coming back with the Bel Air.
Yeah.
You know, be neat.
Yeah, that'd be very sure. Everything old is new again, right?
Yeah.
When we see the styling of the cars, certainly we talk about that. But the other part of the history of the whole thing, the Mustang, is the engine that they use in them. And they've gone from a six-cylinder to small V8s to very large displacement engines, the largest of them. And one of the more interesting engines was the single overhead cam Ford 427 that
Oh
was
my
developed, actually developed for the 1964 NASCAR racing season.
Yes, sir.
And NASCAR banned it.
Yep.
In '64, they allowed Chrysler to run the Hemi head car, and Ford was complaining that it was not a true production engine. It wasn't available to the public. And I guess NASCAR looked at the fact that they had built a Hemi car back in the early 50s.
Oh, sure.
And they allowed them to race the car in '64 with a Hemi. But they did not allow Ford because that car was not available to the public. That engine was not available to the public at all.
Right. And then Chrysler boycotted NASCAR in '65.
Yeah.
And Ford won everything with the 427.
That was the high riser, the wedge engine.
Yeah.
Instead of using the overhead cam. The overhead cam engine was given to the drag racers and was put in a Mustang in 1965. They built 10 Mustangs at Holman and Moody's shop in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Huh.
And they used a 1965 Mustang fastback body.
There you go.
Beautiful looking car.
Yep.
And they put the single overhead cam 427 engine in that car.
Jeez.
And they became very, very successful in the drag racing community with that car. In fact, the first race in California, Tasca Ford, if some of you have heard the name of Tasca, the family had a dealership in East Providence, Rhode Island. And they won the very first race with the SOHC engine in Pomona, California in 1965.
Is that right?
Tasca Ford.
I'll be darned. There was a guy named Les Ritchie who was involved in that, too.
Les Ritchie was Performance Associates. He was one of the factory Ford drivers out of San Dimas, California. And he actually won one of the races with the '65 Fastback Mustang.
Did he
also.
really?
And actually, since you brought Les Ritchie up, Les Ritchie was a subcontractor to Carroll Shelby for building the drag cars.
Really?
He took his expertise, knowledge in drag racing, and applied it to the Shelby GT350 product and made a drag race vehicle out of it.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
There was a guy here in town. He worked for Nelson Stacy, who was the driver, and Nelson had a used car lot. This guy was his sales manager, and he had a '64 2+2 fastback. I guess they were 2+2s, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what they call them.
Yeah, that Les Ritchie had set up, but it was for the street.
Yeah.
But still, he put his special little touch on it.
How about that?
And I wonder whatever became of that car. That would have been nice to get a hold of.
You know, Tony brought up a good point about, the big names that have been associated with Ford over the years. Yeah. Maybe you guys can know a little bit of history, or Buzz. the Celine. Robert Celine, I guess, was involved with Ford.
Steve Celine?
Yeah, Steve Celine,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, what history did he have with Ford?
Yeah.
Tony, I know you probably know the answer to that question, but who was he?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've met him and talked with him. And,
Uh-huh.
he basically did what Jack Roush did. He took stock Mustangs and massaged them mechanically and cosmetically and numbered the cars.
Yeah.
And, of course, you see them at car shows all over the place.
Don't see many.
But they were performance cars, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take another quick break with Jim and Bob. We'll be right back with Rich.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Daytona Flea and Farmers Market is still the one for great savings and the best variety. Whether you need flowers and trees for your home or you're looking for great prices on Daytona Beach souvenirs, the market is the place to go. The market features 1,000 booths, 2 air-conditioned malls, a restaurant, and 9 snack shacks. Hops Grill features gourmet burgers and garden blend salads. Treat yourself to a great variety of brat and hot dog creations at the Dog House, or enjoy a refreshing drink at the Seltzer Oasis. The market is open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and is 90% undercover, so you can shop rain or shine. There's never a charge for parking or admission. Enjoy our monthly classic car cruise-in on the first Saturday of every month and garage sale weekend, the third weekend of every month. See all we have to offer at DaytonaFleaMarket.com or like us on Facebook. Discover Daytona's most unique shopping experience, the Daytona Flea and Farmers Market, just a mile west of the Speedway. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We do appreciate that. And this segment is being brought to you by the Homewood Suites by Hilton, right there on Bill France Boulevard, right around the corner from the Speedway. And they have a great happy hour, complimentary, and a complimentary breakfast. And every room's a suite. And it's really a nice place, and they're nice people. So if you have anybody coming to town, you want to hook them up with a really, really nice place, that's the place to go, the Homewood Suites by Hilton. And we've got a question from Rich right here.
Look at this jacket, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is a classic.
There's no doubt who he's a fan of.
Yeah. Number 5.
Yeah.
Terry Labonte. Those were the days, man. That's class act.
Well, the jacket is vintage 2001, so it's 25 years old.
Wow.
That goes
Looks brand new.
Thank you.
You had the mothballs
It's
right by it, by the years.
I want to say thank you for being here. You've been talking sort of about the past and the present in terms of Mustangs, and I think we need to look into the future of where Mustang is and do some thinking. So I'm going to ask you for your thoughts here. Chevrolet says we're not going to build any more Camaros. Chrysler says we're not going to build any more Challengers. Mustangs left. So of the original, actually the Mustang was the original pony car. When you talk about it, it wasn't the full horse. It was something less. It was a pony. So now, with only one car left in the market, which is the Mustang, what are the other two big manufacturers going to do, or what's Ford going to do with the Mustang?
Makes you wonder,
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if Mercury will come back with the Cougar.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
You never can tell. Yeah, and of course now the Mustangs are known as the Dark Horse, where they went ahead and they redid that whole program. So it seems like they wouldn't have put that kind of effort into that program if they knew it was going to be pulled in a year or two. So it's going to be interesting to see where we are in a year, 2 or 3 years.
General Motors, they didn't have a very good history with bringing the GTO back. Remember when they brought the GTO back?
Yeah.
It didn't last long, so manufacturers have to be careful. And, Ford's got such a winning deal
pedigree.
with Mustang.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
I can maybe understand possibly getting rid of Camaro, but General Motors did that for several years, and then they always bring it back. The next generation of Camaro, Chrysler. I don't know what they would come back with.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
I wish they'd come back.
Yeah, come back to racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really don't know, what the future is going to bring. But looking at this past 500 race that we just saw, the Mustangs were really powerful. They were leading the pack, and if it wasn't for the accidents, they probably would have won.
Yeah.
I believe you're right.
I think.
I love the Mustang the way it is.
Yeah, it's a great car.
Don't get rid of it. That's
Yeah.
what I would tell Ford today.
Yeah.
But and they've got a lot of smart people that are looking at the market, and they're trying to make a decision of what will sell and what will not sell.
Yeah.
And we think of things like, they sold 1,000 cars this month. Well, that's a drop in a bucket. It's nothing. They got to be looking at 500,000 cars this year. And if the other two back out, do they pick up that pony car? Do the Camaro boys and the Dodge Challenger boys, do they move over to get another car like the Mustang? I don't know where they're going, but to me it's a big question.
I think it's always been about competition. You don't want to just race yourself. You want to race another manufacturer. So I don't see them going away.
What do you think, Rich?
Yeah.
What do you
I
think?
think Ford's going to stay where they are. They've elevated themselves with that car so far up, they can't get rid of it. They can get rid of a Taurus, they can get rid of a Falcon, any of that stuff. It's not stuff.
Yeah.
The Mustang is there, and it's a hell of a good car. It's powerful. It's great.
No doubt.
It looks good. Just get in one, crank it up, and change the lights.
Yeah.
For those folks that don't know,
And
you
it's
can have.
It's Ford's best seller, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Ford's bestseller. Is that right?
I think we're
Still?
seeing the future with the electric car. It's only
that's
going to
too
get
bad.
faster and quicker and more sophisticated as we go on. I think the biggest threat we face is doing away with racetracks that are out there. With losing our racetracks is a real problem for the future. Where are we going to race them? Are we going to race them in the air next? Will they be airborne vehicles? Will have racetracks in the sky?
Well, what I can tell you is old-time street racers like Gary and myself and Buzz, it doesn't matter how many racetracks are there, we're still going to work the cars out. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah.
We'll
yeah,
find a
there'll always
way.
be a place.
Find a way.
Yeah.
I'm still looking, though, for my C8. Where to take it? I'm having a rough time finding something.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate that. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we got kind of a celebrity in the house here today. As far as we know, there's only 3 drivers left that drove in the last beach race in 1958 right here and in the first Daytona 500 in 59. And we've got one of them right here, Mr. Johnny Allen, sitting right there.
Johnny, how you
talk
doing,
about a
my man?
NASCAR legend.
Yeah.
And he can tell you what it was like to go from the sand to the high banks. And, oh, my gosh, maybe we can coerce him into being on the show here in a week or two.
Yeah.
And you can get a first-hand account.
I mean, if you need an autograph that's going to mean something, that's going to have some value, right there's the man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there. And we had Johnny on a couple years ago. Johnny, you're about due to come back.
Yeah.
Can you come back and see us here in a few weeks?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
all right,
we'll
there
pay
we
you
go.
what we paid you last time, too.
Yeah. We can't increase it. We won't decrease it.
And I see one of your frequent guests out there, Olin.
Oh, Owen Hopes,
Owen
yeah.
Hopes.
Oh, so you know that old rascal, huh?
Olin's one of my heroes because he is a guy that was very instrumental in starting drag racing in this area.
Amen.
Over at Spruce Creek, which is our high-end community in the area with their own airport. Owen used to drag race over there back in the 1960s. It was really pretty cool. So he's helped the Mustang immensely. The very first generation of Mustangs, the very first Mustang that raced at the professional level came out of the experimental garage in 1964, and it raced at Spruce Creek.
Huh. I'll be darned.
And probably has this distinction: it was involved in an accident over there.
Really?
Yes, they used to run at nighttime, the drag races, and it hit a concrete barrel at the top end of the track and just really messed the car up.
Not good. No, that would be kind of tough.
Yeah.
Geez, good old Spruce Creek. Yeah, it was just the boondocks back then.
It was.
And now it's all high-dollar houses, and all the fancy folks live out there. Amazing. Yeah, there was an Air Force base during World War II.
Yeah, I think it was more of a touch-and-go airport where they practiced that. I don't believe it was an assigned air base, but it was turned over to the city of Daytona Beach after World War II.
Right.
And I heard rumors that they used to go out there and race. You know?
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Hard to believe. But Olin legitimatized the whole thing by going to the city of Daytona Beach and asking for permission, and they had certain criteria he had to meet, the insurance and safety equipment and so on. And they were successful in doing that pioneer generation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bill France was instrumental in deleting that racing aspect, wasn't it? At Spruce Creek, didn't Bill France have something to do with that?
I don't know. Well, he started his own drag racing organization. Yeah, the NASCAR drag racing division.
Yeah, that was an interesting organization, ran from the 60s through the 70s. They had a division in NASCAR that was specifically for drag racing.
Yeah.
And the very first drag race was a partnership between the National Hot Rod Association and NASCAR. It took place in this area. It was held at the Bunnell Airport in Bunnell.
Good old Bunnell. Yeah.
And it was called the Winter Nationals, and it was a partnership between NASCAR and the National Hot Rod Association.
Hey, we'll have to get back on that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Jim and Bob and maybe Olin.
The caution flag is out. Time
I heard
for
it sound
break.
your phone.
We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing Radio Show. Welcome to Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. You're right in the middle of all the action. Daytona International Speedway, the airport, One Daytona, Florida's newest entertainment and retail destination, and of course, the world's most famous beach. You'll love our newly remodeled 1- and 2-bedroom suites, along with our popular King Studios. You won't need your full kitchen, as Homewood Suites Daytona serves up complimentary breakfast and evening social. It's like home away from home. Go to HomewoodDaytona.com for Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. We're back from where it all began. Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing Radio Show continues with your host, Buzz McKim, and co-host, Gary Keller.
All righty. Thank you so much, everybody. We do appreciate that. And we've got Mr. Bill here. Bill Cushion, how are you doing?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Yeah, you're a Ford guy, aren't you?
I'm a Ford guy so much that my dad had certain rules when my daughter got married. Had to be a Ford guy, and I know it was serious when he sold his Pontiac. And he has a 06 Mustang signed by Jack Rouse.
All right.
But I just wanted to comment on a couple things. Gary brought up my yellow Fairlane, and the lore that I know that in 1963, Ford decided to get rid of their square Galaxy and make a fastback 63 and a half that everybody's familiar with, and still couldn't win a lot of races because the car was big and heavy and powerful. So somebody convinced them in 66 to take a Fairlane and make a fastback out of it and downsize, and they win races with that car. And ever since then, NASCAR downsized their cars vis-a-vis the Mustang and what they call them and all. But the Fairlane is the history of the winning cars when Ford decided to go smaller. But anyway, as an owner of a 1965 Mustang with 4 lugs on it, I'm in a Mustang guy. I'll show you a picture after because I'm proud of it. But the point I wanted to ask you, I understand that this year Ford dealers had the opportunity to buy a 60th anniversary Mustang, all white, and they were going to make 1,965 of them. Have you heard about that?
I'll be darned.
That'd be a great idea, though, man.
Well, that's one you might want to check out. Certain Ford dealers are entitled to one. They're going to be white, and they're all numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't know how much they'll sell for, but probably Gary could handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got enough cars.
What do you think, Gary?
I'm sure they probably already sold out if they're only making, 1965 of them.
I think the only thing that bugs me about Mustang people is you go to a car show, and there are many around here. I mean, my car's an original car. I don't do anything to it, as did my 65 Mustang. And they always seem to rally around the guys with the biggest wheels, the biggest chrome. And those people, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Now, see, I'm different. I like the nostalgia, like your piece. I really admired that. I'm not just blowing smoke up your hiney, but that's just a great piece. I really enjoyed seeing that.
And as you were saying about Tasca Ford, I'm a New England guy, and they were just too much, with their fiberglass hoods and fiberglass bumpers and all. If you could afford to buy a car from Tasca Ford, you got front row at the drive-in restaurant, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Bob Tasca Sr., the owner of that business, had an open-door policy in Detroit. He wouldn't see Mr. Ford anytime he wanted.
Wow.
And they listened to Tasca. He was quite a marketeer, no doubt about it.
And I'll leave you with one final thing. I know you said you could go fast because you were practicing pursuit. I think nowadays it's called trying to catch up to. Think about it. Just trying to catch up to.
Would you like to see the Fairlane come back, Bill?
I would, and I think that Ford misnamed some of their cars by calling a pickup truck a Maverick. I think they missed the boat on that.
Yeah.
But it's time for Fairlane name to come back.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
I agree.
And I think everybody, maybe they don't know where the name Fairlane came from.
Yes, let's hear this.
You guys know where that came from? That was the name of Mr. Ford's estate, Fairlane. That's where he lived, and that's where it was called. And same thing with charcoal. You know where it's named Kingsford Charcoal? They took all the spare wood when they made the Model A's and all that stuff, and they made charcoal out of it. And when they decided to do away with wood in the cars, he gave that to Mr. King and said keep the name Kingsford, and the bags, if you notice, are red, white, and blue.
I'll be darned.
Just Ford stuff, guys. Just Ford
Right.
stuff.
That's
I
pretty
remember
cool.
working in the parts room when the summer months would come up. We were loaded with Kingsford charcoal.
Really?
We actually distributed through the Ford parts department.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, they'd order an engine or carburetors, and they'd say, throw in 5 bags of Kingsford, if you will. And,
Son of a gun.
Well,
Ship it out.
Ford Motor Company, they have such a history in our country, development of the first car. I mean, my father was strictly a GM guy. He was plant manager at Delco Marine, the brake division of General Motors in Dayton, Ohio. We were a General Motors family, and, my dad would always say, if it wasn't General Motors, we wouldn't have food on the table. Well, back, I forget what year, General Motors and Chrysler went through bankruptcy, and I said, the hell with this, the government bailout. I went to Ford's. I'd always had Chevy trucks. Now I've had probably 13 or 14 F-150s, and it's the best truck on the road as far as I'm concerned. Jeff and his brother Tom, they were contractors of Ford Motor Company. You guys have a lot of history with Ford Motor Company. Of course, you guys are both rich now because of Ford Motor Company, and thank you for what you've done. But, Ford has just hung in there. They've been silent but deadly.
Yeah.
And a lot of great history.
I love the fact that they did not take the government handout.
Yes.
I thought that showed a lot of character.
Yeah. And they've been rewarded for that. So I think they are America's car. I mean, you have your Corvettes, and, you have your different Chryslers and so forth. But I think right now Ford is outselling all of them.
Yeah, I think so. So, Bob, did you actually found the Mustang Club? Was that your idea?
No, it was my idea. Like I said earlier, it was just a couple of people way back then got together and decided to create a club. And,
it's a very good thing.
And they got one of the local Ford dealers to sponsor them, and they started that out. Now the club is a nonprofit organization. We support local charities.
Oh, terrific.
And we do that every year. We donate some funds that we collect over the years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We have some events like a chili cook-off or something to make some money for the charities.
Right.
And we do that, and every once in a while we during our meetings and things, we collect some. We have some. I would guess like gifts or something, and we raffle them off.
Oh yeah.
We get some stuff.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for what you do. It's a volunteer basis, and we appreciate you. And thank you for your knowledge that you guys have shared with us.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
Well,
great guests.
Yeah.
Great guests. Yeah. We got a few folks we're going to say thank you to. We've got Mike and Dave, the applause sign boys here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Danny and a new guy, Jorge over there helping out. Yeah. And it was, we thank Bill and Tony and Rich for their questions. Yeah. And it's so good to see Johnny Allen back for a few months.
Got to have Johnny on.
Yeah, and Owen, of course.
Yeah.
And we've got Kenny Trout over here that was with the K&K number 71 Dodge team when they won the championship in 1970. So,
Kenny's a bad man, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of history there.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you, everybody.
The Legends of Racing radio show originates live from the very spot where beach racing began. Racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. Join us next time.